10 years have passed, and the mystery of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 remains one of the greatest aviation enigmas of our time. On March 8, 2014, a Boeing 777 carrying 239 people vanished from radar screens while flying from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. It was a routine flight, one of thousands that cross the skies every day. But this one was different. It simply disappeared. What happened to MH370? How could a massive modern aircraft with advanced tracking technology just vanish without a trace? These questions have haunted the families of the passengers and crew, aviation experts, and the public for a decade. The initial search and rescue operation was one of the largest and most expensive in history, involving dozens of countries and covering millions of square miles of ocean. Yet, it yielded almost nothing. The initial hours after the plane went missing were filled with confusion. Air traffic controllers in Kuala Lumpur handed the flight over to their counterparts in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. But the plane never checked in. It was as if it had flown into a void. The transponder, which communicates the plane's identity and altitude, was switched off. Then, primary radar, which tracks objects by bouncing radio waves off them, showed the plane making a sharp turn back, deviating completely from its intended flight path. This deliberate turn was the first major clue. It suggested that this wasn't a simple accident, like a sudden mechanical failure or a catastrophic weather event. It pointed towards human intervention. But who was in control, and why would they turn the plane around and fly it into the vast, empty expanse of the southern Indian Ocean? Investigators soon discovered another crucial piece of evidence. Even after its communication systems were silenced, the aircraft continued to send automated signals, or pings, to a satellite owned by the British company Inmarsat. These pings didn't give a precise location, but they allowed analysts to calculate two possible arcs where the plane could have been when the final signal was sent, 7 hours after it took off. One arc curved north over Central Asia, and the other curved south over the Indian Ocean. The northern route was quickly deemed less likely. It would have required the plane to fly over multiple countries with sophisticated military radar systems without being detected. An almost impossible feat. All eyes then turned to the southern arc, a desolate and remote stretch of ocean west of Australia, one of the deepest and least explored parts of the planet. This led to the underwater search, an unprecedented effort to scan the seafloor for any sign of wreckage. Autonomous underwater vehicles, or AUVs, were deployed to comb a search area of over 120,000 square kilometers. For nearly 3 years, these robotic submarines methodically mapped the seabed, diving to depths of thousands of meters. The conditions were brutal. The ocean floor was a rugged landscape of underwater mountains, volcanoes, and deep canyons. The search teams persevered, driven by the hope of finding answers for the families. But in January 2017, after finding nothing, the official search was suspended. The official story, as concluded by the Malaysian government's final report in 2018, is that the plane likely flew on autopilot until it ran out of fuel and crashed into the southern Indian Ocean. The report acknowledged the plane's systems were manually turned off and its course deliberately altered. However, it couldn't determine who was responsible or why. The investigators were unable to rule out unlawful interference by a third party. It was a frustratingly inconclusive conclusion. This lack of a definitive answer has fueled a decade of speculation and countless theories. Was it a hijacking gone wrong? Was it a terrorist plot? Some theories have focused on the pilots. Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah was an experienced and respected pilot. Could he have deliberately crashed the plane in a sophisticated act of mass murder-suicide? His family and friends have vehemently denied this, painting him as a dedicated professional and a kind family man. An examination of his home flight simulator did show a plotted course into the southern Indian Ocean, but investigators couldn't determine if it was related to the flight's disappearance or simply one of many simulations. Another theory suggests a fire or a sudden depressurization event in the cockpit incapacitated the crew, leaving the plane to fly on as a ghost flight until it ran out of fuel. Proponents of this theory point to the possibility of a fire caused by the shipment of lithium-ion batteries in the cargo hold. While plausible, it doesn't fully explain the deliberate turning off of communication systems and the sharp deviation from the flight path. Then there are the more outlandish theories, ranging from the plane being shot down to it being secretly flown to a remote location, or even involving extraterrestrial abduction. These ideas, born from the vacuum of information, highlight the deep human need for an explanation when faced with such a profound mystery. While most are easily dismissed, they persist in corners of the internet, a testament to the enduring grip MH370 has on our collective imagination. While the main underwater search ended, the story didn't. Debris began washing up on the shores of the Western Indian Ocean, on islands like Réunion, and on the coasts of Mozambique and Tanzania. A piece of the wing, a flaperon, was the first confirmed piece of wreckage found in July 2015. Since then, more than 20 pieces of debris believed to be from MH370 have been discovered by members of the public. These fragments, carried by ocean currents for thousands of miles, have confirmed that the plane did indeed end its journey in the Indian Ocean. They provide physical proof of the tragedy, but they offer few clues as to what happened in the moments before the crash. In 2018, a private American company called Ocean Infinity launched its own No Find, No Fee search. Using a fleet of more advanced autonomous underwater vehicles, they scoured a new area of the seafloor just north of the original search zone, an area identified by oceanographers and drift analysts as having a high probability of containing the wreckage. For several months, the world watched with bated breath, but once again the search came up empty. So, where do we stand today, a decade later? The families of the 239 people on board are still living in a state of agonizing uncertainty. Without a crash site, without the black boxes, the cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder, they have no definitive answers. They cannot truly mourn. They are trapped in what has been called ambiguous loss, a limbo of not knowing the fate of their loved ones. They continue to campaign for the search to be renewed, holding on to the hope that one day the plane will be found, and that hope might not be in vain. Technology continues to advance. New analysis of satellite data, combined with a better understanding of ocean drift patterns from the discovered debris, has allowed experts to refine the potential crash location. Ocean Infinity has expressed its willingness to launch a new search, confident that it can now pinpoint the wreckage. The Malaysian government has said it will consider any credible new proposals. The disappearance of MH370 exposed vulnerabilities in our global aviation system. It led to changes in safety regulations, including new standards for aircraft tracking. Airlines are now moving towards systems that can track planes in real time, even if their onboard systems are disabled. This will help ensure that a plane can never simply vanish in the same way again. But for the friends and relatives of those on Flight 370, these changes are cold comfort. They want more than just lessons learned. They want answers. They want a final resting place for their loved ones. They want closure. The puzzle of MH370 is made up of countless pieces: satellite pings, radar data, washed-up debris, and the enduring pain of 239 families. Finding the main wreckage is the only way to put those pieces together and finally solve this heartbreaking mystery. The search for MH370 is a story of human ingenuity and perseverance against the vast, unforgiving power of nature. It's a story of loss, grief, and a relentless quest for truth. As we mark the 10-year anniversary, the world has not forgotten. The hope remains that one day the deep ocean will give up its secrets and we will finally know what happened to Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. Thank you for watching. If you found this documentary insightful, please like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shape our world.